everyone. Yeah, I'm really glad to be here with you again on Tech Rounds, Tech Build Africa, bringing this one to you. And today we have a very, very interesting topic. I promised you that next time we have Tech Rounds, that we're going to have a very insightful topic, something that affects you and I, and that is about the climate change, climate action, and our environment. Yeah, today we'll be looking at innovations that are bringing solutions to issues around us. Okay, now we've been talking about climate action over the time, and then people are clamoring how the activities, the human activities, industrial activities are affecting our society. And yes, today I have someone in the studio who has that capacity to really speak on this topic, an innovator in the climate and energy space. Okay, no other person than Nurudeen. I will be bringing on Nurudeen Issa for this conversation. Hi, Nurudeen. We are live, and you are live on Tech Rounds. Good to have you in the studio today, Nurudeen. How are you doing?
Hello, good evening, Emmanuel. Thank you very much for having me here, and I look forward to sharing my experience and all the information I have to share here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nurudeen. I'm pretty much excited to have you on Tech Rounds today. Yeah, like I said before, this topic is very sensitive and crucial too, especially as it relates to our environment and our well-being. Of course, Mother Nature is very important to us. So the global energy landscape has rapidly evolved over the years, okay, and driven by the need for sustainable and cleaner alternatives to conventional fossil fuels. Transformation, often referred to as energy transition, is indeed a critical step towards mitigating climate change and ensuring a secure future for the environment, okay? And in the context of Nigeria now, how does this affect us, okay? A country rich in natural resources, but we are facing energy challenges. I mean, that is pretty much glaring that we are facing energy challenges. So the adoption of renewable energy technologies hold immense potential and even more an alternative energy source for us. So we are set to explore possibilities and how technology can play a pivotal role in accelerating the adoption of renewable energy sources in Nigeria, so contributing to the global energy transition. So this is not only something that is about Nigeria, so it's global. So we are facilitating a global transition from fossil fuels and to a renewable source of energy, which would very much better our lives. Okay, Nurudeen, you're welcome for this conversation. So before I engage you actively in the conversation, so I will quickly give us a bio of Nurudeen. So Nurudeen is a young energy leader and climate activist, and a dynamic experience in energy innovation and climate-related activities. He is also the founder of Sirius-X. I don't know how is that series of Sirius-X Energy, a clean energy startup located in the northwest region of Nigeria, with the vision to improve access to clean energy technologies in sub-Saharan Africa. Nurudeen also studied mechanical engineering and majored on energy at the University in Kano. I'm very much happy that you're here to share insights in this conversation. You're welcome once again.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we move ahead straight into the conversation. All right, so Nurudeen, this is the point where we hear from the horse's mouth. So let's get to know who is Nurudeen and where are you seeing adding value in the ecosystem, Nurudeen?
I'm a founder of Sirius-X Energy, a startup located in northwest region of Nigeria. Specifically, we are into solar energy, wind energy, and also green energy technology. So, moreover, I'm a board member of Quantum Engineering. So, Quantum Engineering, local manufacturer of solar panels here in Nigeria. I'm also a board member of City Group. City Group investment infrastructure company focuses on the Western ECOWAS sub-region. So I'm also part of the board member in the company. So there are lots. Let me just cut the long story short. It's just a little bit about myself.
Thank you very much, Nurudeen. I can see that you have your hands full building innovation in this energy sector, and you have a wealth of experience to your belt. And a quick one though, I would really love to explore the views you share about entrepreneurship, especially when it comes to do with technology.
So entrepreneurship in technology, before we even go into what is entrepreneurship, we need to identify problem. Identify a problem. What is the problem in our society? How do we get to solve this problem? Then after then, we now go into invention. So you invent. Before you invent just to solve a problem. So after you have invented a solution, it's a technology, then how do you take this technology to a market? Being able to take this technology to a market is what we call innovation. So you invent, taking it to market for sales is innovation. So the business model around your innovation, how you make profit, how you ensure that you make money out of what you invented is entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship in tech ecosystem, is identifying problems, leveraging on the problem, provide solution, and make sales on the solution you provided. So, and moreover, you need to identify opportunity, know the trend, know what is going on in the ecosystem, what is the trend, what is the global trend. You have to flow with the trend. That is how you make successful in tech entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Thank you very much, Nurudeen, for that quick insight. Yeah, of course, if you're driving innovation, it has to be the value, the solutions you're bringing to the society, and you're doing that. Thank you very much. So we'll be looking at the different. We're speaking on innovation now. So, and we're talking of the climate change and climate action, the crises, and everyone, how we can really bring solutions to this problem. Technology is actually playing a part, but people might not really see. So it's our work now to actually put it to people, see how technology can actually mitigate some of these climate change adverse effects. Okay, so I'm looking at some techs that would help combat climate action crisis, like the carbon capture, removal and storage, the renewable energy, which is very much the popular one, and of course our focus for today, the batteries and energy storage, smart homes, buildings, cities, grids, and even the remote sensing of greenhouse gas emissions, all of these. But today we're going to focus on the renewable energy. Okay, so to that point, I would really want to know a view about the state of climate action in Africa, Nigeria to be specific. I'm very much aware that there was the African Summit for the climate action in Nairobi recently, and of course there were a lot of discussions around how Africa can pivot around the climate change and having policies that would help to fight the climate crisis that we have in Africa especially. So one of the things we're looking at was collaboration among African nations that being very paramount in implementing the provisions of the Nairobi Declaration. So this will also enable them to leverage collective resources and expertise to attract green investment, actually. So no doubt from the Nairobi Declaration on Climate Change and the call to action, so it's actually a global milestone to combat climate change. The success of this declaration, however, hinges on the commitment on African nations to collaborate. So if you've listened to what I've said so far, I've actually called the word collaboration a lot, because without collaboration, I think there would be the effort would be to come to nothing. It would yield nothing, actually. So there is a lot of collaboration that needs to be done in the ecosystem to actually ensure that, something is being done. So it means all African countries coming together. And that brings my question to you now, Nurudeen. What is the state of climate action in Africa?
Current state of climate action in Africa today, we all know how we've been impactful how negatively climate action has impacted Africa. While Africa is located in the global south, while Africa, we emit small amounts of the carbon, while we are the people that are affected the most. We are the region that are affected the most. And moreover, this is what we need to put into consideration. We are the region that are affected the most, by the emission, by the carbon being emitted by most of the global north region. Then how do we ensure that we bridge this gap? That's what they call climate debt. Climate debt is an historical emission of carbon. So, and there's some kind of debate going on climate debt, to ensure that all this historical carbon being emitted by global north region, they pay back, they pay for the carbon being emitted historically. So the action in Africa now is going well. I would see like in Nairobi now. Nairobi just launched their own green energy roadmap. Why this is one of the things Nigerian also need to, one of the action Nigeria need to put in place as well. I could know that last year, that is in 2021, that is during COP 2026, Nigeria pledged to also take a tangible action in the climate crisis. Why? That was the reason why Nigeria signed a climate action act in 2021 by the federal government of Nigeria. So in this climate action plan, we have Nigerian energy transition plan. All these plans have been in place by Nigerian government. So we need to, as an entrepreneur or as an organization that is into the space, we need to really know what is going on in the space. How to leverage on these opportunities, how to key into the policy and regulation that has been laid down by the Nigerian government. Things are going on not only in Nigeria, globally as well. But we need to be updated to know really what's going on in the space. So Africans are doing great, but we really need to put more effort. We really need to put more policies, put more regulations to ensure that this acceleration to cleaner source of energy goes well. When we're talking about climate finance now in Africa, we need a finance of about $3 trillion. See, while currently the investment Africa has currently is about $60 billion. So you could see the gap. The gap is so, which is about just 2% of what Africa really need to combat climate change. So as you can see, we really need to put more investments in the climate space in order to reach where we want to go. And part of this also is Africa also posed a plan to achieve net zero.
So Nurudeen, you just mentioned a critical aspect of the whole investment issues that has to do with the climate change. Of course, cooling something from the recent Nairobi feedback, I could see that there has been concern about the investment that is coming back into Africa. Looking at, for example, having an estimated 40% of the world's renewable energy resources is coming from Africa, but only 60 billion, and that is like 2%, or that's $3 trillion renewable energy investment in the last decade have come to Africa. So that grew a lot of concern in my mind. Okay, I'm like, okay, does it mean that Africa has been shortchanged in the investment aspect of the climate change, climate action movement? Because if you're getting a lot of resources from this region and you're not putting like something significant back into it, is that not being shortchanged, or don't you think it is that way?
Yeah, the resources here they are talking about here is the resources we have in Africa. We have the resources in place to implement the renewable energy system. The resources in place. We have wind, we have sun. All the resources to combat climate change, all the resources to implement renewable energy sources. We have it here in Africa. We're talking about lithium, iron, raw materials. We have everything here. You get it? But we need to make policies that will capture investors, to come into Africa and invest. It's not just about relying just on donors,
on the resources,
donor agencies, just for people to give you donation, to implement projects. No, you have to make policy that will make investors come into your countries and invest and make business. You get it? This is our way. The $3 trillion is not just about what we need to get, from donors agents. No, it's the investment we need to put in Africa in order to reach that 40%. In order to reach that 40% global need. So policy need to put in place by our leaders to capture investors, to make investors come into Africa and start business.
What are those driving factors behind global energy transition today?
So, now when we're talking about energy transition here, we are talking about shifting from fossil fuel energy system to cleaner energy system, to renewable energy system. And that's also one of the things they talk about. Also, you hear about this key word, which is net zero. Net zero is the balance between carbon being emitted and the one mitigated. So, and we all need this in achieving the global energy transition. And so the key drivers of the global the energy transition is mitigation, because that's what the global energy transition plays in the climate crisis. To mitigate carbon being emitted, because we cannot achieve net zero without this transition. So mitigation, how do we make use of the technology we have, maybe a technology we have, to shift from fossil fuel energy system to renewable energy based system? Get it? We need to key into that. So, and the second one is this energy security, to reduce the dependency on fossil fuel, When we're talking about energy security here, if you are mitigating from cleaner source of energy, the fossil fuel energy system to cleaner to renewable energy system, we need to make the energy secured. We need to make it affordable and accessible to as many as possible. So, and also when we're talking about transition, doesn't mean that we are going to put aside fossil fuel entirely, or we want to get rid of fossil fuel entirely. No, we just want to find a balance between the two. Find a balance between the two and ensure that energy is accessible and affordable to as many people as possible. That is number two. And also number three, one of the key drivers is economic opportunity for sustainable development. So the transition is an opportunity for stakeholders, for entrepreneurs to key into. Like if you can remember in some decades back where fossil fuel just came into markets, where people are just talking about fossil fuel, the people that saw the opportunity, then the see people that foresee what the future holds are the people that invested on the business then. So those people that invested on the business then are one of the billionaires now. So now the opportunities here in the transition is to see the opportunity. This is where the world is going. This is the trend. This is the global trend. The opportunity there for you as an entrepreneur or as an innovator is to key into that opportunity. Innovate in the space, invest in the space, set up business in the space and key into the opportunity. And number 3 is the technology advancement. We have different technology that drives the energy transition.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which is the common one is solar that we know. I could know some weeks back we carried out survey in Nigeria here where we could see that in the northern region where we could realize that most of the people at the base of the pyramid do not know the phrase renewable energy, but they know what solar is. If you say solar, everyone knows solar. When you say renewable energy, they will say, what is renewable?
No one knows it. So I think this is another thing that we also have to consider, because one thing is socializing renewable energy with people. Okay, so we might be saying renewable energy, and then people don't actually know what we are talking about. But if we start to pinpoint the actual types of renewable energy, they will really get it. So I've not been to the north before. You said you did a survey. So what would be the percentage of persons that were using solar energy? Because I know solar is expensive, and that is the idea too. You also need to explain that to me. If I can, people can actually get that at an affordable rate.
So we're talking about the solar. People know about solar very well. Even though solar is not the only source of renewables, so we have the wind, but solar is the most common here. Many people know solar. Many people have maybe small solar they use, maybe to charge their phones whatsoever. But the adoption is there is still some hindrances, challenges in the adoption due to cost, the upfront cost, the cost of the initial cost of the installation. So that is the challenge, and this is one of the things we need to do. How do we deploy this system to maybe to households and businesses in such a way that they might be paying instrumentally, or you give them as an energy as a service. Service to them, whereby they will be paying based on what they are using. Most people are based on the survey.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, based on the survey, I would say that about 30% of the survey are using solar system, but about 90% of the survey do not know the phrase renewable energy. So this is one of the things we need to do. We need to make people aware. They need to understand what the phrase is, renewable energy system. So, moreover, the key driver, going back to the key drivers of the energy transition, about I am on technology advancements. We're talking about the solar, the wind. We also need to leverage on wind. Like in the north, there are wind. We have wind. We have enough wind. We have enough solar. Why can't we leverage on that? People are around the world now. They don't just use the bigger turbine, because we are talking about wind. We make use of wind turbine. Why this wind turbine? Mostly in the advanced country, we will see different kind of wind farms. Wind farms. One wind farm can give you 1 megawatts. Just one wind turbine can give you 5 megawatts, 10 megawatts. So why here in Nigeria we don't have that? So this is where we need to put our investment on, and also we need to apply. We need to put more innovation, put more research on even on small wind turbines. So in other countries they use small wind turbines instead of using panels. They use small wind turbines to generate electricity. So this is what we need to do, and also
quite interesting.
Also, moreover, when we are talking about also hydrogen. Hydrogen, Nigeria are still lagging way behind on hydrogen. And here, when we're talking about hydrogen, we have different types of hydrogen. we have gray hydrogen, we have blue hydrogen, we have green hydrogen. So here, but investment and research are more focused on green hydrogen. The green hydrogen is using renewable energy source to generate hydrogen. That is green hydrogen. Why just of recent in the climate summit that was carried out in Nairobi? Nairobi just launched their green hydrogen roadmap, 10 years roadmap to achieving green hydrogen. Why also Namibia also launched their own last year. So this is what Nigeria also needs to do.
So what is stopping Nigeria from joining their colleagues in this kind of research?
So in this kind of research, I don't know, maybe the people there, maybe they haven't think up to that stage yet, or they are thinking we are too early to go into green hydrogen, but we are not. The earlier it is, the better. We need to key into opportunities that are at their earliest stage.
Early stages,
early stage, so that we can all be on the same page, and we can.
So that even when the demand gets high, you are even at the top front already.
You are already at the top front. We shouldn't just stay behind and be seeing some other countries.
Going ahead of us. I mean, why should we stay where we are even the giants of Africa?
So we need to do that. Even though we are seeing some, we are seeing some initiatives are coming up just in Nigeria. Like I said, the Climate Action Act. We also have this, which is the Climate Action Act is there. We also have the National Council of Climate Change. All these are part of the initiative that has been just carried out by the Nigerian government to ensure that Nigeria is also involved in the climate action. But we need to do more. We really
all right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for actually pinpointing to the fact that as a country, we need to do more. Remember when I said something initially, I said something about collaboration. So while other African countries are actually putting their foot on the gas, we actually need to move ahead so that we don't see ourselves pacing to meet up with innovation. That's one thing that we don't want to see ourselves doing. All right. So moving ahead, Nurudeen, so let's go more a lot more personal now. Yeah, I know that you are actively building innovation in this energy sector. So what are you doing as a person to boost the realization of having to fight climate crisis in Nigeria, to be specific?
So I should just start from my name. My name is Nur. If you we take a look at Nur means light,
Oh,
light. So
interesting.
So, and my own passion is just to light up where there is no light. So I started my journey in 2020. I started my renewable energy journey in 2020, and I started doing my research in 2020. So in 2021, I started my startup, which is Sirius-X Energy, where we are able to raise some couple of funds, to ensure that we start something in the startup. So my passion has always been there in space to ensure that I make impact. And apart from that, I've influenced many people to ensure that they come into the space as well. Influencing them, mentoring them, to ensure that they come into the space, showing them the opportunity that are in the space and the problems we are facing in this space. But I need to show them the problem first, so that they will see the problem. Then I show them the opportunity. Then come into the space. So moreover, most of the things I've done in the space are there on internet. You can check my track record. You can check all that I've done, where I've traveled to, just to ensure that I also play my own part in this space. Just of recent, as I said, quantum engineering are the local manufacturer of solar panels here. This is what we need to do. We need to improve on our local content as well. If we improve our local content, improvement of our local content will reduce the cost of most of these most of the renewable energy technologies. So these are the things we are doing, researching on improvement of local content. We are also doing our research also on this.
Yeah, and even what you're doing, you're building with Sirius-X Energy.
Yes, what I'm building, we are building with Sirius-X Energy is the micro wind turbine. We are doing that to ensure, what we are doing is just we are combining two sources of energy together, the promising source of renewable energy, which is the solar and the wind, because the solar and the wind are the growing technology in renewable energy space. So we are using these two sources together, combining these sources together to give uninterrupted electricity. But we are making use of the micro wind turbines, small wind turbines, and the solar panels. So with these, we can be able to power as many homes as possible. We have launched our pilot already in Nairobi University, where we use that to power class in the UK. So now we are just looking out to deploy some of our MVPs, 64 MVPs in 6 states of Nigeria.
Wow.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so doing this, and people see the value, maybe the government see the value, they could keep it too. But
that actually brings me to my next question. Looking at all these things you've said, I mean, this is really, really innovative and an immense value you're bringing to society, to environment at large. Okay, so now, are you getting the right support? Are you getting enough support to actually bring these dreams to reality? Because it's not a one-man thing to actually build a very big dream. It's one thing to dream about it. It's another thing to have that support to actually make sure that this thing comes out well. I'm talking about support now. I mean support from the government, favorable policies, even as regards to renewable energy. So are we having favorable policies from the government that is ensuring that if people building innovation in renewable energy are actually having that backbone to push the drive for renewable energy transition? Okay, for example, I know that we have been clamoring for there to be like some kind of laws to aid reducing the carbon emission into the air. I don't know how that has been realized for so long now, and I mean it's still there. So aside from that, the side of providing some incentives, funding, or favorable policies for innovation like your kind to survive, are there this kind of support, Nurudeen?
When we are talking about support for startups, energy startups like us, is quite not common from Nigerian government, because most of the supports we see, most of the supports we get are mostly from international organizations. And most of the funds we are able to raise are mostly from international organizations. Even though I know there are some policy laid down by Nigerian governments, but some of the policy laid down, you need some maybe inside information, to be able to leverage on those opportunities. So I could say maybe Nigeria have the plan to achieve net zero by 2060. So they put some policy in place in order to achieve those plans. We need some internal information on that. But based on support from the Nigerian government, for now, and just how far we go now, we haven't received support from the Nigerian government, and mostly the support we got from international organizations. We have people like All support, also the partnership we are building as well. We have support also from GCIP, UNIDO, these are the supports we are having. But for now, we are still looking on how to get support from God, because this is what we need. This is what
we need. You can't do it all by yourself.
You can't do it by ourselves. Most of the countries that are advancing in this technology, this is what they are doing. They are supporting their startups. Their startups. I didn't mean is we have in other countries. In these 2 years that we have started, we would have known how we would have reached far than where we are now. But
So at this point, who do we drag? At this point, who do you want us to help you drag? Okay, who do we drag? Who do we go to? Who do we call upon to actually ensure that the government has eyes in this sector? Because this is something it's for the good of everyone. So I think people need to really maybe stand up. And I was hoping that from the just concluded African summit in Nairobi, that okay, the country would come back with much zeal and enthusiasm to actually do more for the renewable energy sector.
So I think we just need to maybe go into some offices, let's say like the Energy Transition Office, the Energy Transition Plan Office, the National Council for Climate Change, some of the ministers. They need to see, they need to see the opportunity involved. They need to see how this support will also impact the Nigerian economy. Will also impact the Nigerian economy, and also create employment for our youth as well.
Yeah.
So we need to show them that some Minister of Economic and Digital Development, that's what we need to do.
All right. Let's call it action points from that summit. So they have come to say that as a global community, they want to act in urgency to reduce emissions, fulfilling its obligations, keeping past promises, and supporting the continent in addressing climate change. So, I mean, it would be, one would say that this issue about climate action has been overflowed. Why? Because we keep hearing climate action days and it ends in the words of the mouth. You don't see a lot of action from African governments when it comes to climate action. So this time around, they are saying that they are ready to renew their commitments to ensuring that these things are put in place. So another thing would be to accelerate all efforts to reduce emissions. I'm still waiting to see how this one is going to be done, because we've talked about carbon emissions into the air for a long time and ways to actually mitigate the adverse effects of it, because it actually affects the surrounding communities where those industries are. And another thing was to honor the commitment to provide $100 billion in annual climate finance as promised 14 years ago. Okay, 14 years ago. So they are just saying that they want to renew that commitment. And I'm just hoping that all these things come to play this time around, and to also uphold commitments to a fair and accelerated process of phasing down coal and abolishment of fossil fuel subsidies. After the African Summit now, we're looking forward to the COP28, which will be convening in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. Okay, that will be the COP28. I mean, and we're looking forward to a lot of discussions when it comes to climate action and climate change. So they're going to be fast tracking the energy transition. Okay, just the topic we are talking about now, it's one of the key things they're looking to do. So that this is from a letter from the newly elected president. So what he's intending to do ahead of the COP28 conference. So they're looking to fast track the energy transition, that's global energy transition, and slashing emissions before 2030. And also transforming climate finance by delivering on old promises and setting framework. And if you look at the whole climate action discussions, you see that there are a lot of promises in the past 10 years, past decade. There's been a lot of promises and not much action points. So I'm just hoping that maybe with this new administration that people are going back to renew on their commitments. So I was asking to see what are the opportunities and how can people, individuals, organizations, and businesses leverage this the renewable energy sector? How can they see the benefits in it, and how can they go into innovate in this sector?
There are opportunities in this space already. As I said earlier, grabbing opportunity as the earlier stage is best. So this is the time where everyone is talking about transition, energy transition. Everyone is talking about climate action.
Okay.
Any type of project you are doing, you have to follow, a metrics to ensure that you are also combating climate change. Your projects have to align with the SDG goals. So if you want to start a project, start maybe a project, whatsoever project, it has to align with that.
Okay.
This is how you get to maybe you want to generate funds, you want to generate grants. You have to ensure that your project aligns with that.
SDGs.
You have to ensure that the SDGs,
Sustainable Development Goals.
Ensure that
Those are the acronym.
Sustainable Development Goals also align with the climate crisis. Also show that your project is also combating the climate crisis. So as I said, for the energy transition, new technology are ongoing, research are ongoing every day, and funds are going also into the space. If you are going into research, if you are going into entrepreneurship. So when we're talking about clean cooking system, there are opportunities on clean cooking system. So we need solution on clean cooking system. About 1 billion people do not have access to clean cooking system in Africa. So that is also a problem. Identify problem, get a solution on that. And here we are also talking about sustainable cooling. Sustainable cooling system where you will use a renewable energy source to provide cooling system to people. This is also a problem.
Yeah.
So we can also key into the solution. And
so I think it's really about identifying problems and seeing how you
identifying problems, how you can create that aspect. And also one of the opportunity also you can also key into at the moment is the climate finance space. So when we're talking about here climate finance, the climate finance is just to use the climate finance to finance climate projects like renewable energy projects. And one of the mechanisms we are using to finance the climate project, one of the mechanisms are carbon markets. Share carbon market is just to go out there, trade carbon.
Okay.
How do you trade carbon? Some companies, some organizations emit carbon. Get it? Why some organizations mitigate carbon? So the organization that emits carbon need to pay carbon tax. Need to pay tax.
Okay.
So instead of paying for the carbon tax, they now buy carbon from organizations that mitigates the carbon. So this is where trading comes in. So why this is a new initiative? This is a new space that people can leverage into. Do much research on carbon markets. How do you key into the opportunity in the carbon markets? That's one of the initiatives that
this is very interesting. So do you need much capital to actually go into carbon trading?
It's not just about needing capital. If you are an organization, let's say, you have to track how you are mitigating carbon. So, and the tracking and recording need to be reliable.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Tracking and metrics are reliable. Then you can use that to get your money. You can trade that.
All right.
And as an individual, also, you can find a way to maybe to link up organizations together to trade. Maybe some organizations are finding it quite difficult to know where to go and trade their carbon.
You can actually come up as a middle person, right?
Come up as a middle person.
Yeah.
Think about something. Just think about anything in the space. Yes.
All right.
So these are the things you just need to.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So looking at our chat section, we've seen a lot of reactions from people here. Okay, so I'm just going to read some of them out. Maybe you will have questions. A reaction from Akinlabi Sunday here. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a show of love. Thank you very much for showing love for this session today. Then we have Mustafa with the emojis. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Cynthia here. Thank you very much. And then Benga Adeyemi, thank you very much. I think people are showing a lot of love for your insight, Nurudeen. Thank you very much. Yeah, here. And then we have Ogunwale Gotukun say, well done. There is a need for onboarding renewable energy in Nigeria now, more than any time before. As this discussion is on, there is currently the collapse of the national grid. Yeah, I mean, this is very sensitive when it comes to the energy now. This morning, leaving the house, I noticed that everywhere there wasn't light, and this is actually what Mr. Wale is talking about here, the collapse of the national grid. And if we have all these other sources of energy like the renewable, because that's what we're using over here, you could have solar, and then you know that you still have another source of light. So thank you very much. Please, if you have any other questions, you can put that up here. Do you have any reaction to what Ogunwale has said about the national grid issue, and then how it links to the renewable energy source here?
So, this national grid collapsing is almost everyday problem we do have in Nigeria. So
it's a repeating collapse.
So it's a repeating collapse. So it's not new. So all these things are just, as I said, it's just leadership and management with it.
Okay.
Policies need to put in place. Regulations need to put in place. I know just operating policy that was just signed, law that was just signed, that each state can generate
your own,
your own electricity. Yeah, this is one of the good policies. Each state, instead of depending on central generation, each state you can have your own generation. So from there, you will be able to function where the problem is.
Yeah.
It is
quick arrest of situation.
Rest of situation. Instead of having a central one that's distribution line, everything is transmission line, having to troubleshoot where the problem is. Having each state having their own generation is the best.
Yeah,
to solve.
I think that's a discussion for another day. Thank you very much for throwing more insight on that. So yeah, this has been Tech Round so far. I'm really happy that we've had this conversation and a lot of ideas moving forward, and how you can come into the renewable energy space and how you can, benefit. And even Nurudeen has given us the business angle of renewable energy, trading carbons, which I never even knew before now. So we are moving to the next segment and the last segment for Tech Rounds now, and it's a fun aspect of this session. So it's just a tradition. So I get to play a fun game of back-to-back questions with Nurudeen to actually get to know him better. Okay, so Nurudeen, are you ready for this segment right now? All right, ready. All right, let's go ahead then. So the first one, if you could go back in time and witness any moment in the tech history, what would it be and why?
Yeah, I would like to go back when something is new and this is trending. Okay, I would like to go back when during the time that we have all this during the time of Bill Gates, when Bill Gates just started, during that time, that is when we have those new tech space that people are key into. So the people that key into the opportunity there, just compare them now. Who are they?
Yeah.
So,
they are the leaders now.
They are the leaders now.
So yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. So the next one, iOS or Android?
I use iOS.
Okay. So what's your favorite sport?
Sports?
Yeah.
Yeah, football. But I don't play football. Okay.
Okay. So what club do you fan?
I'm a fan of Chelsea.
Oh, Chelsea. You guys made a lot of investments.
We've done a lot of investment and
you shouldn't use Chelsea as an investment advisor for you. Okay. All right. Media famous or low-key?
Yeah, actually, when we're talking about my traction, it's media. I ensure that I document my traction, my engagement on social media, because my personal life is so key.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So that brings us to the next question. Now your personal life is low key. So what would be your favorite social media platform?
I love LinkedIn.
The last but not the least, what's the next big tech trend we all be talking about in 5 years' time? What's the next big tech trend that we will all be talking about in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, we'll still be talking about the transition, the energy transition, the renewable technologies. We'll still be talking about that. Maybe in the next 10 years. And also, we'll also be talking about AI.
So I expected you to say that too.
Yeah. These are the two trends I believe. In the next 10 years, they are still.
Yeah, because when we started this year, I wrote the newsletter I normally write on LinkedIn. I was like, okay, that AI is really going to make a lot of waves this year. And it started from January, AI was everywhere. Now AI is taking over every sector. Like everybody is integrating AI, APIs and everything into their platforms. And it's doing great. It's helping people to do a lot of stuff. But I just advise, in as much as you're using AI, still make sure you retain the originality of your content and everything. The human angle shouldn't be lost for whatever reason. All right. Thank you very much, Nurudeen. That's the last question. Glad to see that we'll still be having conversations around renewable energy transition even in the next 5 years. And I'm hoping it to be a positive one, the one that we are building upon what has been established, okay, and the actions are being taken on all these things we've discussed today. Thank you very much for joining Tech Round. So do you have your last words before we draw the curtain for today's section, Nurudeen?
Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you for all the listeners. As I said, just try and key into opportunities, follow trends, position yourself, and the opportunity will come. Just try to position yourself, and also think global. Because you can start local, but always think global.
This is another aspect that we can actually look into and say, okay, how do we now socialize the aspect of clean energy so that people actually know, okay, if someone is saying clean energy, it means solar, wind energy. Is there a simple way to actually do this? Because I know some persons that like big English. It's like big English. Renewable energy. I mean, it's so big.
So it's just that we just need to make the phrase common,
Okay.
Radios, traditional radios, traditional media.
Yeah.
So we just need to keep on communicating that,
All right.
Renewable energy will be able.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So it was great having Nurudeen in the studio today for Tech Round. At this point, I'm afraid we have to say the farewells. We have to say bye-bye. But before we go, I want to say thank you very much for everyone that has made this session possible to crew here in the studio. I have Amelia backstage. And thank you very much. And Nurudeen, thank you very much for sharing your insights during this session. I believe that people would have had more exposure to the world of the climate action, climate change, the innovations in renewable technology and how they can embrace it, how they can leverage it, and calling on our government to provide more support, more funding, and avenues for growth for these innovations. Wherever you're streaming from, follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel for subsequent sessions like this when we bring innovators and thought leaders to share insight on sensitive and crucial matters in the tech ecosystem. It's been myself, your innovation cheerleader, Emmanuel Amogu on Tech Rounds, Tech Grid Africa. And till we meet again next time, I will say bye and adios.